Thank you all for coming down to visit with us today. We love to spread our message and are so thankful that this community offers a willingness to listen to our message and respond with kindness and with generosity. Mayor John Engen and County Commissioner Bill Carey don't need any formal introductions. I think everyone here knows who they are. But what everyone here might not know is that when I was hired as the executive director almost 13 years ago, John Engen was the president of the board of directors of Missoula Food Bank, and Bill Carey was the then current executive director. What a team! And what an experience they handed down to me, and what an opportunity to develop our programs, to develop a fabulous staff, and to develop a volunteer bank, and most of all, to further develop our mission of hopefully someday creating a hunger-free Missoula. So we are very grateful that John and Bill have offered to come and open some remarks for us. And so I hand it over to very capable hands.
Well, thanks very much, Cynthia. How many years ago was that?
Almost 13. January 2nd, this 2012, it will be 13.
Okay, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. My board experience was pretty remarkable. Worked on the board while Bill was the executive director, and then had the privilege of going on a pretty extensive search to track down Cynthia, and that's worked out enormously well for this organization. As I stand here today, these 13 years later, wow, I recognize part of the facility. This is where we used to have our board meetings, actually, right here. It was considerably more crowded, oddly enough, at that time. I think some of the remodeling that's gone on here has done nothing but enhance what I think was the mission at that time, and it was all about making sure that people in our community, A, weren't hungry, but B, that their experience here was about dignity and respect and compassion, and I see that at play here every day. So the food bank today is serving almost 10% more folks than it served last year. That's I think a reflection on our times, but what I know about Missoula is that our response to that greater need will be greater generosity. So as this drive kicks off again this year, I have no doubt that the community will come together, as it always does, for causes as good as this one that are all about the human condition, all about neighborhoods, all about building community. I have no doubt that folks will come out and support the food bank once again in a pretty remarkable way. Food bank needs help, and Missoula will show up to help. And thank you for the fantastic work you do. You bet. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. I had one of the best jobs in the community when I was director of the Missoula Food Bank. For one thing, I didn't have to sit around all day. I got to empty trucks full of food coming in, and that was a welcome relief to the desk work. But I remember when I was offered the job back in August of '88, the food bank had just moved from the lollipop factory to what we called the spaghetti factory, I think, on Alder, and it was an upgrade, believe it or not. But Renee Givarelli, who came from back east, New Jersey, or Susan, she's back east somewhere. Ohio. Oh, okay. Anyway, she, with Susan Kohler's help, pulled the outfit together. But one of her ideas was, when she left, was to raise the pay for her job so that it was a little more decent. Well, we went broke in like September, I think. And so fortunately, the county said, well, we'll just write you a check early, and that took care of that. And then, thanks to Ann Andre, her efforts to develop the food bag fundraiser, the mailbox was full of checks for a week as a result of that work. So anyway, I had a great job. I worked with so many amazing volunteers, donors. Bruce Miklas at this used to be Rockin' Rudy's before the food bank bought it, but he went out of his way to help us. It's always been a tremendous community effort. It's one of the places, I think, and entities that make Missoula such a special place to live in. I think we must be one of the most generous communities in the states, for that matter. But anyway, I know that it'll be successful this year, as always. I appreciate the opportunity to come and reminisce just a little bit, because it's brought back a lot of fine memories as I thought about my time here. So, thank you.
I'm Wayne Chamberlain. I'm on the board of directors. We never know what an act of compassionate service will bring. I have 3 letters to read about the same individual. To whom it may concern, last week my son was cold and hungry and needed help from your food bank. With no interrogation or questions whatsoever, he was given a gift of food from your supplies. You fed my son when no one else could have been there for him. I can't even imagine how it felt for him to have been cold, without a home or a job or food to eat. You were there for him when I couldn't be. My gratitude is beyond what these words can write. Nancy Dalton. A few years later, she writes, Dear friends, it was about 5 years ago at this time when my son Jordan was tired and hungry and with no money in his pocket to speak of. You gave him food. Now he's a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. He just married a little over a year ago, and I'm so proud of him. I know that Missoula Food Bank made a difference in Jordan's life. I have no idea how his life would have been without your help at that moment. I know it made a powerful impact on him and on us. He often speaks of that stop and how, without question, food was given. You helped my son when I was unable to, and my gratitude will always reach out to you across the many miles. And lastly, Dear Lance Corporal Capel, I recently read in the Henderson Hall newspaper about your heroic off-duty act by stopping to assist a motorist in trouble and saving a man's life. I want to commend you for your quick thinking and actions. It's actions like this that distinguish the type of men and women who claim the title Marine. You certainly have demonstrated courage under trying circumstances and should be very proud. Again, congratulations on a job well done and on your recent promotion. Semper Fidelis, David F. Bice, Major General, United States Marine Corps.
My name's Erin Foster West. I'm the Program Services Coordinator here at Missoula Food Bank, and I have another letter to read. This is from a child that came to visit the food bank with a class field trip. Dear Food Bank, thank you for letting my class come to the food bank. They all think the food bank is cool and Mayo is nice. Mayo's our volunteer coordinator. I've been at the food bank before with my dad, my brothers, and my sister. I think it is good that my class can know that the food bank is not bad, and I do not have to be embarrassed to come there. My favorite part is when sometimes we get to pick a treat. We don't ever get treats except for at school sometimes. Thank you for helping people. From Charlie.
I'm Jessica Allred. I'm the Community Relations Director here at Missoula Food Bank, and this letter came in to us following our recent Thanksgiving Day distribution this year. Dear Food Bank staff, thank you for providing me with food, including a Thanksgiving turkey and trimmings. About a half dozen times, I've felt the panic of not having enough food and the shame of knowing that I was unable to provide for myself. Each time I've driven to the food bank for help with a heavy heart. Once inside the door, all of my embarrassment and humiliation disappears because the environment is extremely welcoming and inviting. There are lots of thoughtful little touches, 3 of many examples during my last visit. Coffee and snacks were set out, a worker cheerfully mopping the floor while chatting to people waiting, and lots of reading materials were set out about, including the Missoulian. The whole process is discreet and simple, especially since everyone is treated with effortless, not forced or faked, respect by all of the staff and volunteers. Plus, the food is wonderful. Since I have major stomach issues, I appreciate the wide variety of healthy choices that are available. This last year has consisted of traveling back and forth to the Mayo Clinic for evaluations, treatments, surgeries, and follow-up care, and asking for help, which is very hard, then filling out paperwork to justify my asking. The food bank is very different. The general attitude seems to be that I deserve food, without question or pre-qualification, which makes me feel validated as a human. You have no idea what that means to me. When my body stops producing tumors, and I am cleared to return to work, you can count on me to be giving back to the food bank. With much gratitude, Nicole.
Gosh, that's a hard act to follow. Those letters were unsolicited. They're poignant. They're real life stories. There are many families in this community who need us, and we are happy to be there to help. John and Bill talked a little bit about our history, but just to reiterate, we became an actual nonprofit in 1982. In fact, December 17th of 1982. So we're about to celebrate an anniversary about that as well. And at that time, our location was the trunks of certain dedicated volunteers' cars. And the story goes that first year of our operation, we served 200 folks who needed some food. Last year, over 50,000 people came through this facility to ask for a little bit of extra help. And our official motto is, we nourish community. And we are now entering into our 30th year of service, and you can count on us to continue nourishing community, and I know that we can count on the community to continue to help us do that and fulfill our mission. Today, we launched our 26th annual food drive, and between today and tomorrow, via the Missoulians' wonderful help, there will be about 30,000 plus brown bags being delivered either through your subscription to the Missoulian or other places in town. And our goals this year are to raise $175,000 and 75,000 pounds in food, of course. Every penny and every pound staying right here in our community. And I'd like to give another little special recognition to Ann Andre and to Susan Kohler. Ann, you can just stand up and say hello. That she started, I can't believe it was 26 years ago, but she started our first annual food drive when she was a promotions manager at the Missoulian. And Susan Kohler, who we continue to fondly call one of the mothers, the founding mothers of Missoula Food Bank, way back in those old trunk days. And thank you so very much. So we are just so happy that you were here with us today and help us recognize this important event. And if anyone would like a tour of our food bank after this, you're more than welcome. And of course, we're a food bank, and we offer nutrition over there. Thank you so much.
Can we ask you a couple of questions?
Sure.
Okay. Well, how are you doing? We know the panic at Thanksgiving. How are you set up right now for Christmas?
Well, we just launched our event today, so ask me again in a week. I'll be able to.
How are you doing right now then?
We're doing well. We're doing well.
And talk a little bit about the progression that the food bank has made in all of these years, from where you were to where you are right now, if you could.
Well, if you look at where we were 10 years ago and where we are now, we have seen an increase, a general increase just recently from June until this point in about 10% of the folks who need to come through our store. So that is a really big strain on us, of course, but we have been able to meet that need because of the community's support.
Thank you.
Thank you.